Opening in the year 1989, two young men Daniel and Alex Letimes are going around in a house while being trailed by a man. Daniel hides his younger brother in a closet before he is approached by the man who is revealed to be Aunt Helene's new husband Charles. He pleads with Daniel to help him as he has just been wounded and is being hunted, but instead Daniel yells, alerting the whole family to his location. Masked family members enter the room and shoot an arrow that pierces his chest before dragging him away while Helene sobs and screams. 30 years later, Alex is getting married to Grace, who is nervously practicing her wedding vows but eager to join the family.
She knows family members disapprove of her since she isn't coming from a wealthy family, but she is determined to impress them at all costs.
Daniel is joined by his better half Cause, who uninhibitedly concedes that she just wedded him to profit from his family's riches. It's just Becky, Alex and Daniel's mom, who is by all accounts more strong and lets Effortlessness know that main Alex's perspective matters. Everybody accumulates for the service minutes after the fact as Effortlessness and Alex get hitched. After the function, the lovebirds slip into a room attempting to get personal, however they are in practically no time hindered by Helene, who lets them know that everybody is pausing. Alex then clarifies that custom requires each new expansion for the Letimes family to play a haphazardly chosen game at PM before they can formally turn into a relative. She goes ground floor and draws in the family in discussion as she meets Fitch and his significant other Emily along with her two children. Minutes to PM, they all go into a mystery room and gather around a table as Tony describes the family ancestry to Beauty about his incredible granddad Victor Letimes. And Victor won a bet by figuring out a mysterious puzzle box. In return, Mr. LaBelle gave subsidizing to Victor's playing card fabricating business, which developed into the family's down organization tradition. Tony excludes the way that Victor made an evil settlement with Mr. LaBelle that requires penances to keep the family prosperous. He adds that as per custom enters the family through marriage, a clear playing card is put inside the riddle box. The new member then attracts a card to uncover which game Mr. LaBelle decides to play. He passes the container to Effortlessness to draw a card and pick a game. The room falls quiet when she draws the card with Find the Stowaway as her game. Beauty is offered the unappealing guidance by Tony to stow away until first light to win. Tony arms every individual from the family with a weapon and cautions them that on the off chance that they don't find Catch and Penance Elegance before sunrise, they will all die. The family goes looking for Effortlessness while she conceals in an imbecilic server. Alex then again chooses to swear off the formal homicide since he can't do it. Whenever everybody has left, Alex goes to caution her and leaves the room, which Noble Cause finds out about. Grace, who has grown tired of the game, exits the dumb waiter and wanders before being discovered by Alex, who covers her mouth and commands her to keep quiet. Clara is pacing the room searching for one of the young men who had gotten up so the two stow away from her. While Clara is searching for him, a shot is harmed and her face is brushed off. Following the shot, Effortlessness looks and sits with sickening apprehension as Tony and Helene help with moving Clara's body. Grace is taken into a different room, where Alex informs her that according to Mr. LaBelle's rules they are supposed to kill Grace before sunrise. Despite the fact that he concedes he didn't inform Effortlessness concerning the game since he was stressed she would leave him, he demanded that he never envisioned Elegance would be sufficiently unfortunate to draw the Find the Stowaway card. Grace rips the lower part of her wedding dress off to easily move around more. She starts to get herself out and runs into Tony, Helene, and Daniel, who spot her immediately. They attempt to incapacitate her, but Emily, new off a different line of coke, starts terminating fiercely at her and misses. Daniel enters the review and seizes her, yet he appears so unbothered by the chase, so he gives her a 3-second early advantage, permitting her to move away prior to cautioning his family. After she has left, Daniel alarms the others as his better half shows up first to the review and starts a contention. The remainder of the relatives assemble in the review to think of another arrangement. Emily wails and sticks to Tony while letting him know that she has lost her firearm, while Tina, another house cleaner, enters quickly endeavoring to let Tony know that she saw Grace. Be that as it may, before she could speak, Emily, who has now been given a crossbow by Fitch, coincidentally shoots a bolt through Tina's mouth. Becky then proposes that they ought to actuate the surveillance cameras to track down Grace, while Tony concurs with Becky's thought and persuades her that assuming their extraordinary granddad had the cameras, he would have utilized them. Room again and gets a rifle with its ammunition to turn on the cameras and impair the locks on the entryways and windows. She conceals under the counter as Stevens, the steward, enters to make tea. In the meantime, Alex succeeds in unlocking the doors and windows out from hiding, pointing the gun at Stevens, the boy unconscious. In the meantime, Alex succeeds in unlocking the doors and windows out from hiding, pointing the gun at Stevens. The gun fails to go off when she tries to shoot him, as he reveals that the ammunition is only for display. The third house cleaner, who is concealing inside it, yet again she begins shouting to attempt to caution the family, yet she inadvertently turns the idiotic server on, which pulverizes her and Grace escapes. Tony and Daniel show up at the control room where they track down Alex. They convey him to the room and bind him to keep him from additional aiding Beauty, who is presently outside the room window. She bounces outside and races to the study where she meets Fitch's child and thinks he'll help her, yet he pulls a weapon on her and shoots an opening through her hand. She punches the kid oblivious prior to getting frightened by a goat, making her fall into the goat pit where the bodies of goats and lamentable relatives are discarded. She moves to the top as the stepping stool breaks underneath her feet, leaving her with no choice except for to go through two hands to get herself. A nail goes through the opening in her grasp. She summons the Solidarity to haul herself out and afterward removes her dress and uses it as a gauze, then begins running outside, just barely getting herself through the front entryway and attempts to wave to a passing vehicle. She runs into the forest, however is subsequently found by Stevens, who endeavors to catch her. After a battle, she chokes him with a piece of her dress and takes his vehicle, not understanding he is as yet alive. She escapes and endeavors to contact the client care specialist for help. Tragically, he tells her that the vehicle has been accounted for, taken, and closes the vehicle down. Stevens tracks down her and shoots her with a sedative. He gets back to the family while heading to the chateau and illuminates them that he has tracked down Grace. He turns up the radio volume, playing some old-style music, not realizing that Beauty has awakened. The family attempts to caution him, yet he doesn't see Beauty as she kicks him 2 times in the head, making him flip the vehicle into a field in the forest. Grace is then put on a raised area to start the custom of penance to Mr. LaBelle. They pass around a goblet and drink from it, yet not long before Tony murders Beauty, they start hurling viciously. Turns out Daniel puts something in the beverage that makes everybody debilitated, liberating Grace from the special stepped area. She shoots Daniel in the throat, realizing he is at this point not on their side. Grace battles noble cause and takes the firearm from her, however acknowledges it is out of ammunition. She gun whips her and attempts to help Daniel, who advises her to go. Alex breaks liberated from his sleeves and endeavors to save his sibling. It is past the point of no return. Becky views as her and shoots her with her bolt absent, yet attempts to choke her. She gets Mr. LaBelle's case, thumps Becky off of her, and afterward utilizes the container to cudgel her to death. Alex arrives on the scene and tries to engage Grace in conversation, but soon turns on her and gives her to his family after realizing that she might not stay with him anymore. Helene discharges her hold similarly as Alex is going to cut Effortlessness, getting herself wounded in the shoulder. She shouts and gets up from the table, pointing the blade at the family. They all jump in dread at their fast approaching passings, as they understand it is now past the point of no return and the sun has risen, however nothing occurs. Helene gets the hatchet, actually proposing to kill her when she detonates, followed by Fitch. Good cause begins asking, however soon she detonates, Emily attempts to pull off the children, yet they all pass on when they get out of the entryway. Tony endeavors to holler that he keep the guidelines and he detonates too. Alex makes a frantic request to Grace, figuring he will endure considering he is great, yet he detonates. Mr. LaBelle's phantom becomes noticeable to Grace as he sits in his seat and gestures, not long before he evaporates in a blasting cloud. Grace heads outside and smokes a cigarette as the house consumes behind her.